Today, we're cracking open a cold case that's 66 million years old. The victim? You know 'em, the dinosaurs. Now, the cause of death, well, it might seem obvious, but what if I told you there's a much darker, way more complicated story hiding just beneath the surface? Welcome to our investigation. If you're ready to play detective with us, make sure you're subscribed, and let's start digging into the evidence.
Yeah, you heard that right. For years, we thought we had our culprit. It was an open and shut case, right? But what if the story we all grew up with isn't the whole truth? What if the prime suspect had an accomplice? Or maybe was just the one who got caught standing over the body? So let's look at our lineup. On one side, we have our usual suspect, a swift, devastating assassin from the cosmos. And on the other, we've got a slow, monstrous force from deep within the Earth itself. Are we talking about an instantaneous, world-shattering blow, or a creeping poison that lasted for nearly 1,000,000 years? To figure this out, we have to go back to the scene of the crime.
So let's set the scene. Before we can even begin to understand the crime, we have to picture the world that was lost. Try to imagine Earth 66 million years ago, a planet so bursting with life it honestly makes our modern world look a little empty.
This wasn't just a world, it was the world. A hothouse planet where thick, lush jungle stretched from pole to pole. You had forests of pine and ferns, even in the polar regions. The skies belonged to the pterosaurs, the oceans were full of these massive marine reptiles, and the land, well, for 150 million years, the land was the undisputed kingdom of the dinosaurs. They were the masters of their domain. And then, in what is basically a geological blink of an eye, it was all gone.
All right, let's bring in our first suspect for questioning. This is the one everybody thinks they know, the celebrity villain of prehistory. For decades, this was the story. It's simple, it's dramatic, and you know what? The evidence is pretty compelling. A giant rock from space slams into the Earth, and boom, the age of dinosaurs is over. It's such a clean, tidy narrative that for a long time, the case was considered closed. But what if it just showed up at the right time to take all the blame? Because while all eyes were looking up at the sky, a totally different kind of killer was already hard at work. An ancient nightmare, something older than the dinosaurs themselves, was stirring deep, deep within the planet. Let me introduce you to the Deccan Traps. Now, we're not talking about just one volcano here. This was a volcanic province, 1,000 kilometers wide. Try to picture an area the size of modern-day France, just covered in constantly erupting fissures, flooding the entire continent with lava and just choking the skies with poison. So here's the crucial part. This wasn't some sudden event. This was the slow, deliberate execution of an entire planet's ecosystem. The evidence points to a catastrophe that unfolded over an immense timescale, and the details are just fascinating. By the way, if you're enjoying this little investigation, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next explainer. Just look at this timeline. The assault began almost 1,000,000 years before the asteroid was even in the picture. It started quietly, with greenhouse gases just slowly, insidiously building up. Then, about 300,000 years before impact, the lava floods really kicked off, turning the Indian subcontinent into a toxic wasteland. And in the final 50,000 years, the eruptions went into their most violent, furious phase, really setting the stage for the end.
And this is what kicked off a catastrophic chain reaction. The planet's life support systems began to fail one by one. First, you get this rapid global warming that basically cooks the oceans. Then, a weird mix of gases actually causes a sudden cooling event, which just shocks the already stressed out ecosystems. Sulfur starts falling back as acid rain, poisoning the land, while carbon dioxide acidifies the oceans, killing off the plankton, the very base of the entire marine food web. It's a total collapse.
And as if all of that wasn't enough, the immense heat being released from the Earth's interior triggered something that sounds like it's straight out of a disaster movie. Hypercanes. These are storms so ridiculously powerful they could literally rip holes in the ozone layer, exposing all life below to deadly solar radiation. Just think about that number, 1,000 kilometers per hour. That is more than 3 times faster than the deadliest hurricane ever recorded in human history. This wasn't weather anymore. This was a weapon. With forces like that being unleashed, it's really no wonder that the world of the dinosaurs was already falling apart. Food chains were crumbling, ecosystems were failing, the planet was already critically ill. And that's exactly when this second killer arrived. Imagine a victim, just barely hanging on after this prolonged, brutal assault. And then they get one final decisive blow. That's what the asteroid was. The impact was just incomprehensible. It released the energy of 4 billion atomic bombs, all at once. It was, without a shadow of a doubt, the coup de grace. The final, brutal end to a world that was already on its knees.
So after looking at all the evidence, we come right back to our big question. Who really killed the dinosaurs? And the answer, it turns out, is anything but simple.
So who was it? Was it the slow, methodical poisoning from the Deccan traps that doomed them from the start? Or would they have actually pulled through if not for the asteroid's final catastrophic blow? Scientists are still fiercely debating this. Was it some kind of crazy murder-suicide pact between the Earth and space? We honestly just don't know for sure. But this whole investigation, it uncovers something far more chilling. Because when you look deep into Earth's history, a very disturbing pattern begins to emerge. See, when we look at the history of death on this planet, this chilling pattern just jumps out. Of the 5 greatest mass extinctions in Earth's history, at least 4 of them line up perfectly with these massive volcanic events. The end Permian extinction, they call it the Great Dying, it wiped out 95% of all species. And what was there? The Siberian traps. It seems our monster from below has done this before. And that leaves us with one last, pretty unsettling thought. Maybe the death of the dinosaurs wasn't some random act of violence from space. Maybe it was just another victim of a terrestrial serial killer, a monster that lives deep within our own planet. A monster that has killed before, and for now, is just sleeping. So what do you think? Was it the asteroid, the volcanoes, or a deadly tag team? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you had fun cracking this case with us, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives.